Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Arc Vision podcast. Our guest today is Corey Trochaniak, and he is a very dynamic man. On one hand, he is approaching the status of social media superstar with an Instagram page of more than 30,000 followers. And education-wise, he has studied psychology at Wilfrid Laurier, and professionally, he is entering the world of music production and recording. So hopefully in this podcast, we're going to see how these different aspects of his life and his personality come together to create the man you see before you. So, Corey, welcome to Arc Vision. How are you doing, man?
My man, Anton, how you been, bro? It's been a long time.
I've been beautiful, man. Life is very good. Too, bro. I love you, man. All right. So I want to get into the first question. So before we went on air, we were both talking about how I went to New Zealand last year and BC, and you were thinking of moving to BC. And we just were on that topic, and I was saying how different places in the world seem to have these different energetic hotspots. And people have been talking, the Egyptians talked about this, like the obelisks in Egypt. Apparently, The way the pyramids are formed architecturally creates an energy vortex when you're standing in the pyramids. And this is where the question comes in. So you brought up, what was it, energy 430? What was that you were referring to?
432.
432.
432 is the weird resonant energy. It's very strange. Well, I'll tell you what I know. And it's I can start with saying people with plates, they have it's kind of a plate designed on top of, I guess you could call it a magnetic resonator. And like, so when you pour sand on this plate and you resonate it at different frequencies, the sand will vibrate with itself and kind of interact with itself, and it will just form random patterns, or not even patterns at all. But when the frequency itself is shifted to 432 hertz, some weird kind of magic happens. There's some weird shapes that will come about and form sacred geometry that
fractals.
Fractals, exactly. It is an exponential geometry that, like, if you expanded it more, it just replicates itself throughout. And so weird frequency. It's also this, weird conspiracies that are brought about that, we're like, natural music is tuned to 440 hertz, which is it's 8 hertz above. And it has a slightly different sound, of course, as it would. But that was introduced in around the 1940s, 1950s under, really mainly was promoted under the Nazi regime. And 432 was refrained against because they knew 440 is not synchronous with how possibly the earth might vibrate. And so,
no way.
And I say that because the way that these things vibrate, even if you put water under the same frequency of 432 or a multiple of it, 864, it will have the same effect, but just in an even more complex pattern. These kind of things, when you play music at this frequency, it could be a placebo, but the weird thing is when you listen to it, especially you put on Pink Floyd or anything, this music sounds, it almost, when you hear it, it resonates within your body. It doesn't disrupt the frequencies of your cells, how they affect each other and everything, but it kind of feels like it's like your body is becoming more in tune with the sound, and it's like it's flowing through you, not just at you.
Wow. So, because you bring up Pink Floyd, so you said in 1940 the Nazis outlawed 432 hertz of music, yet you're saying that Pink Floyd is being played at 432?
No, but if you do play Pink Floyd tuned down to 432, if you just use an audio editor and just shift it down those 8 little hertz, it sounds like something different. There's a lot of tests, even on YouTube. You can see these guys playing guitar. They have their whole guitar like organically tuned to 440, and then they'll play the same thing they played but at 432, and it's this weird, like, you can't pinpoint what is different about it, especially if you don't have the ear for it, but the feeling it creates is quite different.
I love you, man. Like, I love, because like we used to chat and I had no idea you were into this stuff. And this is very interesting because I'm obsessed with the Nazis. I don't like the Nazis. I find them interesting. And
they're quite interesting.
Like, I've always been attracted to books that utilize the Nazis and like Hitler's fascination with the occult, with spirituality. He was a spiritualist. in a very odd way. But this is the interesting thing is like, you get some people like, who is the other one, the Satanic Bible? Anton. You know who I'm talking about?
Who?
There's another Anton, and someone who created Satanism, and then there's Luciferianism or something. And it's really weird because on one hand, they are spiritualists. And like, I think we have this idea in our heads that if you're a spiritualist, you're a good person. You're seeking the highest form of energy resonance.
Right.
But look at Hitler. He was into this stuff. He was aware of this stuff, but he was using it for control. So it kind of gets into this, like, just because you know the answers doesn't mean that you're utilizing them for good purposes. Kind of like, what's your perspective on that?
Man, exactly. Well, you know, like the last time we saw each other, especially, you know, when you were here at my place, we were hanging out, it's like the duality of things. There's with like the same way without color, like, or without black, you don't have white, without night, you don't have day, right? Spirituality is like, that is the broad aspect of a way you could feel about life and live your life. And so you can use spirituality for good, but you can also use it for bad. Like whatever good or bad is defined by the human who is embodying it, right? So using Hitler as that example is like, he was using it to control people, but the main reason that it works is because you can control yourself with it. So if he knows he can control people, it's like they are in a way controlling themselves through what he's propagating to them. And so the spirituality, it's like these energies, good and bad. It's like, if you ever, you know, through it, whether it's through dreams or psychedelics or anything, if you ever come in contact with types of entities that just show you energies and things, like they will show you the good and the bad side. They will show you that life does not exist just in the good. The purpose of it is not just to be good. It's like, you know, to be good because you have experienced bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've done DMT, I've done mushrooms, I've done LSD. I think I've done everything but ayahuasca and wachuma. And the interesting thing is, first of all, I've never encountered an entity, ever. Never encountered anything real.
Which type of DMT did you do?
I think 5-MAO.
Really?
And I utilized a and again, if the government is listening, I did this in Peru, where it's legal. But yeah, I used an MAO inhibitor in the tea. I forgot what the tea is called, but I used that. And that was a wild experience. I did it twice, maybe 4 times. I forget. I think it was just twice.
I didn't even know you went to Peru. Holy, we got a lot to catch up on, man.
Yeah. And where I was going with this, though, is that I do feel like, because there's people I know that have done psychedelics, DMT, and they've encountered these. My friend Matt, I'm not going to use the last name, but he was doing mushrooms so much that he was encountering these beings, and they're asking him to do these deals in the real world. And this is what is fucked up. They would ask him at first, they were masquerading as positive beings. They're kind of toying with him and making him believe that they were good and that they were going to help him out in the real world. This was when he was a bit more impressionable. I think he was in his early 20s. And then it started to progress, where he was, because Matt, like you, like myself, he's a seeker. He's very interested in finding the truth of existence. And so he'd keep going back. He'd keep talking to these entities, and they would progressively ask him to do slightly more horrendous things. This slippery slope that you see governments do, tyrannical regimes do, Hitler did. Our own government has done with this with the Patriot Act, 9/11. You see it everywhere. It's the slippery slope. You get someone to do something that is not too bad, but next thing you know, after the 10th act, you're doing something that if 10 acts ago you said do this, you'd be like, fuck no, I'm not going to do that. So that happened, and he got to the point where he became like, oh, he caught on, and then I think they asked him to steal from someone, and then I think to get the blood of someone. They asked him to get blood from, I think, a family member, and that's when draw blood, and he said, like, that's when he just said no. And this is crazy, Corey. after he stopped doing mushrooms, he recalls one time, it had been months since he did mushrooms, and I've had the same thing happen to me on mushrooms, where he went in the washroom and all of a sudden everything went black. Everything went black. The mirror in front of him went black, and in red blood, he saw a message, "Bring me the blood." And then just gone. And again, he had been sober for months. Months. I've had this too. I had such a powerful mushrooms trip that I had disassociation from reality for 6 months. And I was a dumbass and I was watching Westworld at the same time. So I was legitimately freaking out and questioning my reality. But like, what have you done when you were in Peru?
What have I done?
Have you done any psychedelics?
Well, when I was in Peru, man, you know, this is actually a dream I was in, let's say, and yeah, it is quite the thing that if there's anything to detach you from this world, it is that. It is those things that trigger your whole brain to interact with itself all at once. No barriers, no boundaries. Your visuals are interacting with your sound and backwards, and with your thoughts even. Like when you close your eyes, you can see through tunnels of subconscious, you know, thoughts and beings and people you've met and all these things that mean to you. It's like the first time that it ever happened to me. There happened to be a mirror on this tree in Peru, and like I looked into this mirror, and it was the first time I ever did that while under the influence of this. And the first thing that came to my vision was like I saw my face, and it suddenly shifted just so gracefully into like the face of a jaguar or a lion. It was some feline cat, and I was looking, and it was like it gave me this message of like, you are this thing that can eat shit. You can devour shit if you choose. You can also choose to lay in the grass, bask in the sun. You have that choice. You have both. And it was showing me, it's like you have the power to do that. It's in you. You know, and these things, like especially when I've had these experiences with friends I've brought to Peru, they were also like, they would undergo these things, and the way we would just kind of go into it was like you're realizing this self inside of you that you didn't know was ever there. It was like this just potential that nobody ever taught you was there, and that you probably couldn't teach somebody else is there until they realize it in themselves. Yeah. The message through that was the world will appear to you as you choose to see it. If you choose to not ever even seek, or even to know to seek things like that, they won't come to you. But it's the moment that you start doing those things, the weird synchronicities, they link up, they line up, and they start showing themselves just because you looked, just because you went searching for it. And so yeah, it's quite a strange experience. You know, it's beyond what I could say. It's almost like there are a lot of reports of like, you know, people who do mushrooms, and they say it as you have these 3 huge events in your life. You have marriage, you have having your first kid, and they equivocate the third experience with those 2, and that is mushrooms. It is this thing that is like just this, you could say this, I guess, marriage of so much energy just all coming into one and combining and just forming this part of life that you never saw was there until it came to you. And it has that much significance to you that it's like, it is up there. It is one of the most important things to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Because before we also went on air, we were both talking about some of the hard times emotionally we've had in the last year or so. And one thing that I find interesting is like sometimes you can go down a spiral. You can go down a negativity spiral, and you can really doubt your own self-worth and the fact that, like, you know, anybody loves you. And the interesting thing is, in these moments of darkness, every so often you'll see a light, and you'll feel okay for an hour, a day, a couple of days. This will happen. And especially if you're someone like myself, and I'm guessing you're the same way, where you almost have a spiritual context to it, and you almost pull yourself out of it, and you go like, oh, I'm exactly where I need to be. And you can see that clearly, but then just as quickly you can lose it, and you can be in the soup again. You can be lost in the trees and in the emotion and in the absolute despair. And I find like psychedelics, the great thing about them is that if it's a powerful enough trip, it can be like your north arrow, your compass, to kind of be able to pull back to that experience, and which I've done before, pull back whenever you really need to, and just kind of reconnect with the illusion of it all. Almost reconnect with the fact that, oh, this maybe it's not that it's not real, but this is in essence a game that is stacked in my favor. And that they say that the universe never gives you a challenge you're not able to overcome. And I truthfully believe that, because if you look at every single time you've been in a rough place, where are you right now? You're here. You're
alive. You're here. You've been through it. You've made it through.
So it's like you almost have to remind yourself every time of that simple thing. And God, man, if you can't find that love for yourself, you need to find someone who can unconditionally love you. Because like that is sometimes when you're in that peace of mind, God, you're just hurting for love. You know what I mean?
Hurting for love, man. You couldn't have said it better. You couldn't have not said that better. Because those people who are hurting the most, those people who hurt the most, those people who are out, killing or doing bad things, anything like that, those people, what is the answer to fixing that? It's love. Why did those people, how are their brains wired this way? It's like maybe they didn't receive that kind of love when they were a child, and that's where the foundations, the most important things in life were being built. And like the lack of that is now like, I shall become this and I shall embody this into the world. And it's like, this is how, like, whenever you have it, awareness is such an important thing, because it's like, what you've been through, or at least most of it, but you know who you are today. And the thing that you should know more is, who do you want to be tomorrow? Who is it that you have in your goal? Maybe you don't know who you are today. I don't. And maybe you don't know either, because it's like, man, if I knew everything about myself, I know exactly what to do for my next step. But it's like, I can at least have a plan. Like, what do I want my next step to be? I don't know how to get there, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is what I want. As long as solidify the what, it's like, those people who are broken, it's, if they don't realize, if they don't have anybody even in their life to help them realize, maybe show them the right step, or the step you think could help them propel forward, those things never come about. And so we get these people, who kind of go on tangents, like killing spree or whatever. Like it could even be as subtle and mild as someone who just emotionally screws with a person.
Yeah.
But like, that's the most they'll do. They'll just they'll have friends that they keep at a certain distance, but they'll just tell them horrible things that make them doubt themselves and all this. And that comes from the fact that they deep inside maybe doubt themselves. Bullies bully because they are usually the people who have been bullied a lot of their life. Absolutely. And that is what they know. They lead by example.
Yeah. Do you ever, I sometimes get this where I have deep compassion for people that have done horrendous acts, but have empathy. Like there's a line to me between a psychopath who legitimately does not have any empathy and the people you're talking about, where there's been times where I can empathize with that person. And I feel like we all can if we really think about it, because I feel like most of these horrendous things that we see, these acts, these killing, lying, stealing $1 million. It's like, that comes from the same place as me stealing $5 when I'm scared because I can't pay for my food, or killing someone. There's been times where you're so jealous or insecure of someone else that you legitimately would say, oh, the world would be a better place if they weren't here. So it's like right there, I feel like we're all living this lie societally where we're like, oh, we need to lock them up in prison because they're fucked up and we're not. It's like, no, look at the just a mildly negative thing you've done. That's just an exaggeration of the same thing you did for the exact same reason.
It comes from the same core of manifestation inside of you. Yeah, that exact energy. Yeah.
Just I feel like everything comes from lack of love. Like legit, and I'm thinking about this too. That's what I believe right now. Who knows if it's true? But I'm trying to think of a single thing that a person with empathy does that's problematic. that didn't happen because of a lack of love? Like, is there anything anyone has ever done? Because like, if you fundamentally love yourself, I feel like everything else goes away. All those emotions and that angst, that existential angst we all have, we all feel, because we all feel that. We all feel just that frustration internally that we can't put our finger on. We don't know what it's linked to, but there's just something. We're always hustling. We're always on to the next big thing. Why do you think we have this crazy need to evolve and to get good at things? Where does that come from? It's like, I feel like life is like two stages of life. Like, and I always think about this because believe me, I did this, where I was so insecure that I needed to get good at things because I was like, okay, like once I get good at this thing, okay, I'm insecure and I'm jealous of Corey's guitar playing ability. Okay, I'll get good at guitar. Then you get good at guitar and you're like, well, I need to get as good as that guy. And it's like that marker keeps moving. And hopefully what happens is you get to a certain point where you isolate this pattern you're living in, and you get enough love for yourself that rather than excelling because you're running away from your inadequacy, hopefully you can excel to master something and give it to someone else, because you actually want to create a chain reaction of positivity in the world.
Right. Yeah. Through the process of mastering something, you don't want to put down those people around you who are also trying to attain the same goal. It's like, by mastering what you're mastering, or even just getting along the process, there's people who are not as far along the process as you are. And there's people who are ahead of you. And the same way that you're able to get ahead is because you can learn from those people who are ahead of you. So your duty, and I guess in following that kind of path, is also like, how am I being an example that can help people below me propel to where I am? Because it's selfish and very egotistic to think I'm the only person who's going to get here, and I'm the only person who I want to get here. Because really, you know, we're societal creatures. We want the tribe to survive. It's not just about us. We're not going to survive that way. And so how can we teach others to be exactly what we are? Because we become stronger when those around us are strong. You know, the 5 people you hang out with, if they're all smart, you're probably going to become smarter than you are. If they're all idiots, you know what you're going to become. It's exactly that. It's like you become what you surround yourself with. And people do forget that with that saying, it's also you're surrounded by your thoughts. Everything you're going through, whatever, there's still an inner monologue that's going on. Even a dialogue. Maybe you're talking to yourself from 2 different perspectives. It could be whatever it is, but the kind of balance that like you are still teaching yourself and you're teaching others is like you're making sure that everything comes up together. Because if it's not that way, people are going to start hating you. You know, and it's important that like people hating you, sure, it's like somebody's whatever, that's their perspective of you and they don't know your full story and all this. But it's like if you can show yourself that, you can prove to yourself that somebody else can love you, that's a sign that you can probably also love yourself. If you know, coming from the stance of somebody who already can't love themselves, it's like the state of trying is like maybe you can't help yourself, but if you help someone, that's a bit of a reflection of you. You know, like I always had this this weird drive I went on. This was about like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I went this drive down to my friend Aiden's house, and it's very, he lives like, it's pretty like nature, you know, there's a lot of trees and everything around. And I remember one day I was driving, and it was just like I was just like in the car. I had music playing, but I wasn't jiving with it, and the trees just kind of like oh, they're just trees, they're just things that are there, and it just felt like an ugly day. And I was like, you know, this world ain't all that great. But maybe a week later, found myself going back to his house again. And I was on that same road doing the same exact drive in the same season. Trees looked the same, the grass looked the same, everything was the same. But for some reason, the world was beautiful. The trees were like, look how green that is. These things are like this stuff that just takes sunlight from like billions of miles away, however far it is. It's just taking that and converting it into like this thing that we see here. And it's like, everything is beautiful. And I was like, okay, so the road didn't change, my car didn't change, and the trees didn't change. What changed there? It was my mind. Exactly. Me seeing the world as ugly made it uglier. Me seeing the world as beautiful made it beautiful. So it's like, what are the things that I think are ugly, even about myself, that I could just change my perspective on and possibly see that new light of, whoa, this is what it could be. And I'm not letting it be that.
So okay, so I love that. Now what if we projected that onto every other aspect of both of our lives?
Exactly.
Now, how many times have you said, I'll be happy if, I'll be happy when, and then that happens, you're not happy.
And you're not happy.
And that always happens. I remember before I went to New Zealand, I remember before I went to New Zealand, I was telling my friend Ahmed, I said, man, I'm so unhappy right now. As soon as I get to New Zealand, I'll be happy. As soon as I can leave Ontario, I'll be happy.
Right.
Oh, I went to New Zealand. I was just as miserable. Like, and then it's funny. I came back, and that's when it dawned on me. I was like, "Fuck, I'm doomed. I'll bring my problems to the top of the Buddhist monastery. Nothing's gonna change." It's like that Zen, that idea of like, yeah, nothing you ever do is gonna make you happy. And then when I came back from New Zealand, I took that to heart, and I almost too much. I almost took it to heart too much, where I just, like this last year, I've been the happiest I've ever been, where I was at peace. Like I had 3 friends I was hanging out with. I was, busy all the time. I was, talking to my mom a lot, talking to my friend Taryn, talking to my friend Gabe. And I wasn't partying or anything. I don't think I drank at all that year, but like people would ask me, like, "Oh, how you doing?" And I'm like, I'm good. I'm happy. Like, and it was just this like weird grounded thing, because doing everything that I thought would make me happy and it not working made me go, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Okay, this isn't external. This is internal.
It's internal.
At the end of the day, I'm left with myself. And if I don't love myself, I'm fucked. Like,
yes,
that's it. I'm fucked.
Bottom line.
And then like I started journaling, and this is where it gets into interest in psychology. Because when I came back from New Zealand, I was not happy. But in my journal every night, I was listening to this Abraham Hicks person, and she said, speak like it's already done, and it will happen. And at first I was like, oh, bullshit. That just sounds woo-woo. Like that's not real. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, let's just do this. Let's just every single fucking day in my journal go, it was a great day. Like, why was it a great day? And just write down 3 points. It's like, went for a bike ride, talked to Taryn. And then it's so weird, dude. I don't know when, but I think within 6 months of doing that, there was just a piece. I don't know when it shifted, but just within that 6 months, something just flipped. And someone actually asked me again, how are you doing? And it was just like, good. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I meant it. And like, it was this weird thing where, and now I do that. Like now I say, like, when people say, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I have my own business. I'm going to be doing this forever. I'm going to be a multimillionaire. And it's like, it's not that I'm sure. Maybe on one level, I do believe in the manifestation that I can create it. But I just want to, even if it doesn't physically happen, I want to live as if that would happen, because I'm happy.
Because that's what makes you happy. It's the feeling, like you said, internally. It's like, even whether that has happened or not, like you going to New Zealand, like, oh, I'm going to be happy when I go. It's like that happened and you didn't feel happy. Then what is the difference there? It's like, if you feel inside as if you already are a millionaire, then you are happier than you were before thinking that. And how much effort does it take to make that thought? You can think a million thoughts in a day. Why not that one? And if that one is the one, if those thoughts are the ones that really change how you see life and how you feel about life and actually being happy, that is what you reflect. People you meet will see that you're happy and they'll become happy because of you. They'll see you have a smile on your face because they'll be like, whoa, he's smiling, like, and I'm with him, so I'm probably going to smile too. They don't even think about that. It's just subconscious. And like, me and you are both subject to that too. It's crazy. It's like things work that way. And like, you don't know the effect you have on things, which means sure that you don't know the effect you have on the external world, but the effect you have on your internal world, who you are to yourself. Are you your own best friend? Are you somebody who just puts yourself down? Like if you had your friend here, Gabe, or one of my great friends, James, like, it's like, am I going to tell him like, Jesus, man, like you failed, like you probably just shouldn't do that again. Like, shouldn't even try, like any of that. Like, would I ever say that to him? No. Why do I say those things to myself? Yeah. Why? Well, actually, why? Maybe I should change that. And changing that is the first step of changing the external world. It has to change in here first.
Yeah.
And in here.
Yeah. Catch yourself. Like it takes a while. And anyone listening that thinks it is like, I'm just going to start speaking nicely. No. It's going to be a year or two of every time or more. Like if you're young, you can switch it faster. If you're a bit older, it might take a bit longer because you have more momentum. You have more momentum and negativity.
You have more crystallized knowledge rather than fluid knowledge. Yeah.
Exactly. You have more crystallized knowledge, and there's these habits, and it's just surrounded. Like you said, you are the 5 people you hang out with, and just be accountable for one another. Like, if I ever hear you say, put yourself down, I'd be like, no. And like, at the end of the day, I can't convince you of anything. Like I can't convince you to love yourself, but if I can catch you every time you don't love yourself and you can make the change to say, no, I do, hopefully over 2 years, that repetition becomes your reality.
Exactly.
You'll just believe it. And like, whatever you want to do with your life, it's like, just say it. Be like, this is my vision for my life. I'm allowed to have a vision. Like, this is what I'm moving towards. And if anybody says no, it's like, I'm not going to stay around you because you're only putting me down because you given up on your own vision, or it's not working out. Because if it was working out, you'd be cheering me on. And we all know that.
And we can all see what's happening. Exactly. It's like being your best friend. Like I was talking to one of my buddies, Tristan, yesterday too. I was saying, something that really helped me, like I started this 2 years ago and I haven't been in the best habit of doing it, but I do know that it works. It's talking to yourself in the third person, almost like, okay, so let's say like, I know I'm like pretty slow at getting some things done. So I'm like, like me saying my own personal, like, inner monologue is like, man, like it's going to take a while because I'm like not going to be able to do it right away and all this. But like, if I said it from perspective of like, Corey's going to go do this, he's going to get that shit done. He's going to finish this up and it's going to be freaking as good as he can make it. It's like, yeah, you're right, bro. He is going to do that. And it's like, yeah, bro, of course. And then you just go do it. It's like, you don't even question what you're going to do. It's like, it's not like, oh, but can I, whatever. It's like, no, Corey's like, I already said it. You're going to do it, like, Corey, like, just do it. And like you trying to do it already puts you so much further than where you were thinking that could you not, whatever. By trying to do it, you figure out if you can or not. You're capable of so many more things than you even know you are. And those things you're not capable of yet, you will fail on. But those failures are a message saying, you screwed up here. This is exactly where you need to change. You need to fail because that's where the pointers come from. That's where, you think, I always tell people this, like, you think these people who have these Fortune 500 companies, these huge things, you think it's their first business? You think it's their second, their third? Hell no. This is, a lot of the cases, it's like this, their 10th, 15th, 20th business. And all of those businesses, they failed. Those were the 10, 20, 15 pointers of, this is where you went wrong and this is where you fix up. And it took that many repetitions of learning exactly where you go wrong to be able to do it right and make it as far as they did. And that's big.
I don't know if you want kids, but I feel like that is something we need to shift in school, in our society. Like, we're terrified of failing. Everybody's terrified of failing. But based on what you just said, it's like failure is the most important thing you can do. Like,
yes.
Like they always say, start before you're ready. Like with this channel, I started before I was ready. Go look at the first video, man. It's not very good. Like, believe me, but over 150 videos, it's got to the point where now I'm like, okay, I'm confident. I'm happy with where I am. Doesn't mean I'm going to be here in a year, but at least I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm doing good stuff.
Yeah. You're doing much more than you would have been if you didn't start.
Yeah. Just because I'm afraid of failing and letting people down.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just got to start. And I love what you were saying too, because one thing that will shift more than anything is if every time you say, I can't, instead say, how can I? That will change everything.
That will change everything. Because now it's, instead of a statement, it's a question.
Exactly.
It's open-ended. It's not closed-ended. Exactly. Wow. And you said, so go ahead.
You start to look for solutions you never thought possible. And they start making sense. Like, I've been inviting musicians on this podcast. Like, I've reached out to some famous bands, Nothing More, Parkway Drive, like, so, big bands. And I've been talking with some of the agents, and they're like, oh, Johnny's not doing press right now. And I could be like, oh, okay, I can't get through. But no, like, dude, my mind has been working overdrive now. Like, I'm okay. Okay, if I go to this person, they're friends with Johnny. If I can land this person, maybe they can give a good word into Johnny about me, and maybe I can bypass that usual procedure. Where if I just said I can't do this, it's true. I can't get nothing more at this moment. I can't get them. But if I say how can I, it starts to open up these way like around the bush ways to do things. And now it's like my mind is just like, how do I do it? 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 How do I reach 1 million subscribers? Okay, how do I do it? How do I do it? It's like all these questions of like gaming my own system. It's like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, anything's possible. I have no clue what this is going to become. And I'm letting that happen. I'm like, I have my vision, like 1 million subscribers. I want to build a community. At one point, I want to build a multimedia empire. I'd love to get into television and then start turning my self-employed business into an actual business where
you can employ people.
Exactly. Delegate to other industries and stuff. Be like, okay, I want to start making Matrix-like movies that blend spirituality and cinema. And like, because that's what the Matrix is. All my favorite movies essentially are psychological, philosophical, spiritual. That they have the action, all that kind of stuff, right? So I'm like, what if I could make this into a multimedia empire and make the kind of content, movies, TV shows that I've been searching for years? Like, I've been looking for the TV show that will hit me in the heart just as much as it hits me in the head.
Wow. Well said. Well freaking said. God damn.
What about you? What is your vision for your life, Corey?
Man, well, I did want to say something about how you said letting people down. You were talking about letting people down.
That was a big thing for me.
It's a huge thing. It's like letting people down is there's obviously, as with everything, there's multiple ways to see it. And I think the thing that came to my head when I heard you saying that was, well, who are these people that you're letting down? Like, if they are somebody who's so impatient that they can't wait for the day that you actually are letting them up, are they saying like, oh, our friendship is over because you let me down? Then would you do the same to them? And is that the way to go about a friendship of that type of thing? And it's like, you're letting them down now, but they're not giving you room for letting you grow and showing them that you can let up. Or they are, they might even just stand behind the sidelines, whatever, like whoever the person is. I guess that's not in question, but it's like, if you're letting somebody else down, that obviously also means you're letting yourself down, because you did it out of knowing that it would be a net positive benefit. And so when you're letting yourself down, it's like on a failure, you're not really letting yourself down. You're actually still learning. Like somebody who's in school, saying learning math, whatever, like they don't know the way to go about the equation now and how to figure it out. But it's like the fact they're trying to solve it is what's important, because the end of the equation is somewhere down the line and nothing comes right away. So those people who, you can keep around, who understand the same things that you do, that they see it the same way, that like this takes time, and I'll understand you, that you also will take time. I can't put these expectations on you that like you'll have it right away and things like that. It's like, that's really important. And, having those people around is important, showing that you can give time to yourself, because most of it just won't come right away. So if you're letting them down, they might be feeling let down right now, but their true intent at heart is they will be happy for you when you are up. And those are the people you should keep around you, those people who do appreciate those kind of things. And they show you to appreciate those things within yourself. And, even if somebody leaves you and whatever, and unless you do your thing to maybe like get better and like come back to them as like somebody new or somebody different, like as you've been a changing person, it's like those kind of things are what grows you, because you learn, I guess, how the world works that way. It's like you learn how even you work, and the world works only in your mind how you work. It wouldn't make sense of how it works if you haven't made sense about how you work. I try to think a lot about equivocation, like how the macrocosm equals the microcosm,
Yeah, and what I gather from what you're saying is the massive importance of having friends that unconditionally love you, but not only that, having friends that see you as a process, not a stationary person. Because if your friends see you as a stationary person and you fall from grace, well, you are no longer that person that they liked.
Yes.
Yet if they see you as just a process, like the essence of Corey is what I love, and that is always evolving. And part of what makes Corey who he is, and part of what's going to make Corey the brilliant partner, father he's going to be one day, not saying if you want kids or not, but he's going to have to fail so he can learn to get somewhere else. So if your friends let go of you the moment you fail, they don't see you as a process. They don't want you to change. They don't, sorry, I don't even like the word, I hate the word change. I dislike the word change.
Huh.
Because
I love you, man. I love you.
Yeah, it's evolve. They don't allow you to evolve because they're saying you have to be perfect in your present incarnation. It's like bullshit. Nobody's perfect in their present incarnation, especially at 22. Like you're 22, right?
I will be in about a week and a half.
There you go. Happy birthday in a week and a half. But like 22, are you kidding me? Like you're going to give up on Corey because he's not perfect at 22. Like, are you kidding me? Like to me, I'm like, I don't care who you are now. I'm like, I want to see Corey in 5 years. Like, because like that's what's inspirational to me because I want to see what I'm like in 5 years. Like, and exactly, I want friends that treat me the same way as I treat my friends. It's like, I don't care if you fuck up, dude, because it's like, that's a learning experience. Like we were chatting before this and like, you know, like the alienation or something that like, you know, we didn't talk for a year and a half. Like, yeah, you know, I took that personally at the time, but as soon as you opened up, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, you know what I mean? I get it. Yeah. Like you're going through something that we all go through.
You are probably one of the most understanding people I know. Just based on even our phone call, like that time, like it's like, that's something that I didn't expect to have been said to me because that's probably never been said to me. You know, that kind of deep understanding of like, whatever happened, I forgive you. Or what, you know, there's just the freedom of the past because the future is what we have. We have the present now, but the future is what we look forward to. But the past is the past. And you know, as long as you like trust that the person learned their lesson, or maybe they didn't, but they're on their process of learning it. You know, it's all a process. And like, yeah, and referring back to those people who see you as like a stationary thing and will cut you off if you're just, you know, you're staying as that thing. It's like, they might, you know, you don't know that they might also be dealing with themselves as like, oh, they hated that they were a stationary person and now they're so pushing change and you know, evolving. They're so pushing that they need to stay with people who are at their own pace. And so those people come in and out of your life as they will naturally. Like those are things that are meant to happen because, you know, you're at where you're at for a reason. If it wasn't compatible, it wouldn't exist. So that's why relationships break off. That's why they reignite. That's, you know, it's all about like who you're becoming and who you were like yesterday, who you're going to be tomorrow. And like, where do those things line up? And I find that's pretty important, you know, because even in taking the loss of losing a friend like that, especially if they're really close to you, it's a huge hit to take, but it's a lot to learn. It's a huge lesson there. And you got to open your eyes because if you don't take that message, you're probably going to lose a lot of people that way, you know? It'll start being more on you rather than on the people who drop you. So there's truth to both sides of it. Maybe they dropped me earlier or whatever, like, you know, maybe this person didn't like me because of this, but it's like, yeah, sure, there's something with that person, but it's also with you. It's like, who could I have been? Like, especially if you really look up to the person that dropped you or something like that, it's like, if there's somebody you want to be and they did that for a reason, it's like, boom. This is exactly what I shouldn't do if I want to become something what I think I do. And by becoming that thing of like what you think you want to be, just the same way how you didn't even know how to like do podcasts or whatever. Like, you know, you said the first episode was like nothing compared to this. It's like you didn't know exactly what you wanted to be, but by trying it, you learned how to become that and you formed your own new category of it. You know, the same way it's like, maybe you took the hit, like this person kind of cut you off or you've had people cut you off, but in trying to become something like what you want to be, inspired by them, inspired by yourself, you learn so much along the way that you don't even know the doors that will open up. You don't know who you will meet and who you'll talk to because you lost that person. And then it works in really weird ways. But the thing is, you gotta let it happen. The more you try to hold on to control, the less control you have.
Yeah, and I think that's so important too, is just realizing you're exactly where you need to be. You know, not beating yourself up because, like, you know, I've been in areas where I was obsessed with like my path, where I was like, oh, I'm not on my path. I need to get on my path. And then I did DMT, and then the message was, life is not a series of paths; it's a meandering river. Like sometimes you have to go through hell to get to heaven.
Tell me about that. Wait, okay, let's get into that because I'm very interested about that. I've not done DMT or anything like that. Like,
yeah.
What was your experience, man?
It was really interesting. So the first thing that happened is, and this happened every single time I've done it. And if anyone's listening and you've done DMT as well, please comment or reach out, see if this has happened to you too. Because the first feeling I had is that I was falling down a slide, like Alice in Wonderland or like Nightmare Before Christmas. When he jumps in the tree and he goes down, it felt like that. Like it felt like I was dropping through the floor, and then I was falling through blackness, and then I came out of the chute. And then, have you seen the Lego movie?
I have.
Okay, so you know at the beginning of the movie when they're singing "Everything Is Awesome" and it's like white, and you just see the city, the overhead of the city.
Yeah.
So that's what it was like for me when I went through this DMT trip. It was this black and white spiraling color. And it was this like 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional city. And it was really weird because at one second it would be 1-dimensional, and the other second it would be 3-dimensional. And so the first thing is I come out of this slide, and then there is like this series of 3-dimensional columns and rows, tons, like as far as the eye could see. But the weird thing about DMT, and I've talked to other people about this, and they're the same way. When you're doing DMT, it's like you're on a roller coaster and your head is cemented down and you can't look around. You're literally on a roller coaster and it's choosing where you're going and you're always looking straight.
Wow, I've not heard that.
So I come through and I'm looking straight, and there's these like, you know, the candies that are swirls? It'll be like a white candy and like an orange swirl. And they kind of taste like vanilla or orange ice cream.
Yes, they're like in that little wrapper you pull.
Exactly. So that is the template, the aesthetic template of this world that I was transported to. Is there's just black and white swirls.
Just fractaling.
Not fractal.
Were the fractals there yet?
I see. This is the interesting is I never saw fractals.
Huh.
My mom did. And again, I'll repeat that. My mom did DMT with me. My mom saw fractals. I never saw fractals. So,
wow.
So again, there's these rows and columns, and there's these like paper mache faces coming in and out. And have you ever heard of the band In Flames?
No.
Okay, so anyone listening, their mascot, the face of their mascot, that's what it looked like. It was this like this like paper mache face, and there's several of them coming in and out of these areas, almost like a worm comes out of the dirt. And I heard cackling like a witch in the background, but it wasn't originating or emanating from anywhere. It was this like everywhere at the same time, and it was faint. It wasn't like right in my ears. It was like it was way back, and there was this unsettling energy. And I felt like I did not belong. I did not feel like they didn't want me here, but I did not feel like I was wanted. I felt this complete this complete lack of caring. Like I was an alien in a world that didn't give a fuck that I was there. But there was just this weird cackling at the same time, and it was really frightening. And I remember I started to I was like kind of panicking. And this is what was interesting, is that I was told before the DMT, if you ever feel like you're having a hard time, breathe. Slow. And the weird thing about that is in this moment, it was like my consciousness was detached from my body. But I could send messages to my body by just talking, almost like thinking words. I was like, okay, breathe. And then I could feel this calmness, just like the world was calm. My consciousness wasn't any more calm, but the world outside was shifting. It was becoming less alien.
Yeah.
And then I could feel like there was this detached body somewhere in the ether that was going, but it wasn't my body. It was like a body.
It was a body.
But I knew subconsciously it was my body. And I knew I was detached from it.
And it was doing that.
It was doing it. And as it was breathing, this world was changing in accordance to the breaths. It started to just wash away. And then the moment I became calm, I was thrown through this column, these faces were coming out, and I was shot through, and then boom, I was in a jungle. And I was like the Amazon rainforest, and I was like on this roller coaster flying through the trees. And then as I was flying through the trees, and just to let you know, I was extremely depressed at this time of my life. This was about two years ago. I was borderline suicidal. Like I was thinking of like ending my life. And I was having just all these questions. I was at this point in my life where I just couldn't stop questing over the meaning of life and about where my life was going to end up. The biggest question was, am I going to be happy? Will I ever be happy? That was the main question. Uh-huh. And as I'm shooting through these trees, this voice, just like the wind, this voice comes calm. It's almost this like older brother, uncle energy, where it was almost half smiling, half laughing. It was like, dude, calm down. It's going to be okay, man. And then one of my questions I wrote down was, when am I going to meet my partner, my life partner, my wife, if you want to call her that. Uh-huh. And then a voice came again, dude, calm down. She's on her way. And I got these two messages. And then the third one was, because I had been thinking constantly of like, oh, am I on my path? Like, I feel like I'm not on my path. And that's when the third one came through that said, I just got a picture and flashed in front of my eye for a second. And it was a meandering river. And what I understood from that is life is not these off and on ramps that you can lose yourself. Like, you're never lost. You're in another part of the river. And believe me, it's taking you somewhere else, but it's really in control. You're not really in control. And I don't know if this was my interpretation of a picture. So I don't know if, first of all, if I interpreted the picture right. I don't know if the picture was even correct. Uh-huh. I don't know if it was my own subconscious or source energy, the universe giving me a down. I don't know where that download came from. Was it from my higher consciousness, the universe itself? Don't know. But that's kind of, and then this is the interesting thing. When I was flying through the Amazon rainforest, this gets into what you were talking about. I saw a jaguar. And there's a vine. There's a great vine. And on the vine was this jaguar just observing me. Just completely emotionless, just observing me as I flew through this rainforest. And I still don't know why I saw a jaguar, because apparently jaguars and owls are sacred animals that happen at certain times when you're on psychedelic trips. But that was essentially...
I did not know that.
My first trip. The second trip was different, but that was the first trip that I had.
Right, which is definitely substantial.
Yeah, it was
quite significant.
Life-changing. It calmed me down a lot. It calmed my anxiety about being something worth being.
Man, holy. And like, I know we were chilling like before even like this, like, you know, you went through this experience and stuff. Like you still had that energy, that vibe to you, that the vibration, literally, not even just the short form of the word, but I mean really like the vibration you brought across. And like being in person with you was like something that like it absolutely resonated through my being. Like it was like being with you allowed me to be something like, you know, more of who I am. And now that like you've gone through these experiences and you've learned the lessons from them, you have this memory from them, it's like I feel like even more so, and you're behind a screen. it's like I can feel that energy with you, even like we're just like miles away, like you're somewhere in that direction. It's like I feel it even stronger. It's the weirdest thing. I even felt it through our phone call. Like it's crazy the way that you have this sort of graceful peacefulness about you, and you know, I'm not saying that to like build up your ego that like, oh, you're this like perfect majestic person thing or whatever. It's like you're also showing me like not just that, but you're also showing me how to be that. I haven't gone through this experience. I haven't done it myself or anything like that, but you're still, you know, you're projecting that into the world of like people you interact with, at least through me. And like, I'm assuming it'll be through other people too. However you go about it, it's like, it's hitting in places that you might not even realize. Like this, especially this whole podcast, this whole call, like everything we've done is like, these are things that are going to stick with me for a while. These are going to be things I'm going to think back on. And it also might turn out to be some weird things I'll notice, like a synchronicity in my world of like, oh shit, why is that guy flying through an Amazon? Like, you know, like, who knows? Like some weird just things happening. And like, it's really strange, everything that's gone about, especially in our relationship, like the way I've met you, the way we became friends, like how quickly we got into every topic we've ever gotten into. Like, man, there's some crazy nights we've had. Like, I just remember like such amazing, like out of world experiences where it's almost like, was that even real? Like, did these things actually happen? Like, were they in my head? Like, it's on the edge of disbelief. It's kind of crazy, but it is, you know, I feel like maybe the messages might not be as clear as they appear to be right now, but they will be clearer even more as time passes too, because that's the river we're going on. You know, all rivers, they all lead to a body of water, and you are just as much that body of water as you are the river. And so you are at the same time, there would not be a body of water if there wasn't the river, right? Because the water has to lead there. And so I think you are as much both of those parts together at the same time.
It's almost like life is the river and your consciousness is on that river, and the river is connecting you with who you really are, who you were meant to be in this life.
Who you were before you were born.
Yeah.
And who you are after you're gone. Keep going. Wait, I like where you're going with that.
It's, you know, I just want to say thanks, man. Like, yeah, thanks. Like sometimes you don't realize what you mean to people. Sometimes you can get so lost in your own bullshit that you think other people feel about you the way that you sometimes in your darkest moments feel about yourself. So thank you. And as much as at the end of the day, this is just my journey and nothing you say can actually change my perspective of myself. It helps give me the peace of mind to go about that process I have to go on for myself. And this is something I wanted to say about you too, is that you mentioned like, you know, sure, I've been a good friend for you or whatever, but hopefully, hopefully what a good friend is they're a anchor that gives you the space to become who you are and not change, but just uncover who you always were. Because I feel like if you ever get lost, ask yourself, what were you like as a kid? I feel like you as a child, in many ways, before your parents put their dogma onto you, before society put its bullshit onto you, before you were essentially covered up with all this bullshit, the rest of your life is spent trying to uncover who was plopped into the world.
Damn. Who's that pure spirit?
Yeah, and that's why before when we were on the phone earlier today, I said like nothing you can do can make me ever not love you, because there is not anybody I'm loving. It's like the essence of you is what I love, and that essence is always there. It's unchanging, but the form you take to get back to that essence, that might change over the years. That might go through trials and tribulations. But I love you regardless, man. Like,
I love you,
always love you.
I love you, man. Holy shit.
That's the best friends. The best friends literally just help you see who you are, who you always were.
Even if you think they're not doing it the right way, or even if it's like you disagree with their methods, it's like they're still there for a reason, and they saw that child in you. You know, they see that free spirit inside of you, that like they know you. They know they want to see you reach just as much as you would want to reach it yourself. And yeah, that's definitely something worth noting. Everything you just said is very freaking well said, man. I'm so glad you're also like doing what you're doing too, because you know, every time we have chilled, it's like it almost was like just some naturally occurring podcast that like we could be talking to a million people, and like you know, it's still like it holds true, like things that are being said, and like I've always respected that about you. You know, you're consistent in even in the way how you so you can so sporadically diverge into things, and still everything you say is consistent. It's like I still understand where you're coming from, even though all the topics are like they could even be contradicting, and it still makes sense that they go together. And wow, you put it together really well, I have to say.
So one thing I want to ask you then, as we kind of transition from this kind of new topic, and I feel like there's a renowned sense of energy in you. What do you have a vision for what you think you can bring to the world uniquely, your own creativity? What is your essence? What do you think it's here to do?
Oh, wow. Well, that question actually ties in pretty much every topic we've talked about, because oh man, here we go. The thing I remember when I was a little kid, my dad was like, I was listening to like his rock and roll and shit. Like I was like 4 or 5 years old, and he's like,
was your dad a musician?
No, but he does have a lot of CDs. Yeah. So awesome. I was always popping those into my little CD player thing here, and I was always listening. He's like, you know, you're like so young, like you shouldn't be listening to this kind of stuff. You know, like it's kind of like it's more like technical and just not for kids type of thing. But I was so interested in it, and like if there's something about the emotion of those music, it's like from the 70s, you know, like Led Zeppelin. Yeah. There's a lot of like Nazareth, if you know them. Pink Floyd, like I said. Pardon me? Boston, yeah. Boston.
Because they're MIT graduates.
They are?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, which is kind of what I'm hearing you say almost, and I could be projecting, but I almost hear you say like you want to merge the melody and emotion of music with like the sacred geometry and mathematics that go in accordance, and merge those two things to create like a new kind of spectrum of music.
How did you know exactly where it's going to go? Man, it was, I didn't even know it was going to go there. Because what I was going to say, and like, you'll see how what you just said kind of holds true through everything I'll say. That was a weird way to sum it up what I've said, but I haven't said it yet. Where I was going to go was, man, I don't know, like my childhood and stuff, like, I guess I'm like, it could be my wiring, whatever, and especially the things I've experienced, friends have had, relationships I've had, everything. It all grew into me like who I am. And it's like, I always responded to things in a very emotional way. And the thing that probably really created who I am was the fact that when I was like grade 4, grade 5, I had there was a guitar in the house. And when I was emotionally distraught, I could pick up that guitar, go lock myself in my room for 5-6 hours at a time, and like every single day. And these emotions that I had no I had no way to put them out, not even words. There's nothing like that. It's like I would put it into music, and the music in a way saved my life. It helped me see things in the way that I could not before the music was there. And like you asked me about what my vision, what my essence and contribution to the world, you know, could be, is like, I know I'm probably not the only person that resonates with music, especially through emotions. And if I can create music that helps people really feel emotions that they don't have a language for, there is no English word that can describe what's going on. There's nothing of that. The music itself is a language, and it's universal. You can be you could be somebody who's never even learned a language. Like, you know, there's cases of that where like people have grown up, like, you know, especially like even tribes, they don't have that advanced language, but music still is like their most advanced form, and their music can speak to us. It's like, that shows the verbal language is not the same as musical. And that the way that music helped me, it's like the vibration of it. you know, how it resonates through you, what it creates inside of you. Like we were talking about 432, even 440, like it's still being played. Like
It's
we
still
would have
pretty
changed it. Yeah, it's still pretty good. We would have changed a long time ago if it wasn't that great. Like it could be greater, sure, but so could everything. So could everything, and that's a damn process to get to. But the whole thing is like, yeah, I want to, like, if my own expulsion of emotions was through music, and there are people, you know, who are having so much trouble dealing with their emotions and just don't have an outlet, they feel completely lost. It's like, if whether it's music or realizing something about yourself can help you get there, because that's the next step. Like the music is number one. It's like, yeah, the music will help you through, like if you're able to kind of reflect with it and kind of go just intertwine with it. But the next step, I think, above that, like if I have a good foundation set for myself, would be to develop a way of how to deal with emotions beyond like just music, beyond any of the conventional ways we have now, like how to even feel about yourself, like how even just knowing that you don't have to know how you should feel about yourself. Feeling uncertain is still as important as feeling happy, because you can't feel certain about yourself if you don't know what it's like to feel uncertain. You know, you can't be so confident about something if you weren't unconfident about it before, because the reason you feel that energy of being this, you know, this obelisk of like, yeah, like I'm this tower that can kind of stand here and be this, you know, pinpoint of me. It's like you would not know what that is if you were not first unacquainted with who you are, I think.
Yeah, you
that could also just be me.
Yeah, you don't know what you want until you know what you don't want.
Wow, exactly. Oh, that's weird. Yesterday, like I for some reason I get this question asked to me a lot, but like people just ask me what my favorite food is. I don't know, or I can just remember it pretty clearly. Maybe it doesn't happen often, but I remember situations. And I'm like, I like a lot of foods, like all the foods. I'm like, I don't freaking know what food that like I like the most. But then I remember standing at my kitchen and I was like, but I could answer that question so much better if they asked me what foods I don't like. And I was like, yo, that's like real true. Like, okay, maybe I don't know what will make me happy, but I know what makes me not happy. And then if you take that even further, it's like, okay, if I want to be a better person tomorrow, it's like, what can I do to be better tomorrow? I don't freaking have a clue, but what am I doing today that was already manifest that I can like look back on because it's in my memory? What did I do today that I don't want to do tomorrow? Well, like I see everything I've done. They're all set there. They're set in stone. It's like, okay, well, what do I want to detract? You have the answers there. And it's so much easier to look at the negative light.
I love that, because that is actually the process that led me here. It was essentially, for the last year, I've been having an increasing frustration with being an employee, where I just couldn't shake this feeling like I need to do something creative. I need to do something that utilizes who I am. Mm-hmm. And then another thing is I was having serious anxiety about money, just serious anxiety about being poor, being homeless. Mm-hmm. And the problem with feeling like that is now you compromise who you are because you give in to people you're living with because they're housing you.
Yeah.
You don't say what's on your mind because you're afraid of the consequences. So yes. There's ways in which I was devaluing myself because out of a fear of the repercussions of being who I was. And that was fundamentally what drew me here. It was okay, I need to do something creative because doing monotonous things drains me. Like I just feel so frustrated.
Depletes your soul.
Depletes my, exactly. Well said.
Hey.
And so I was okay, I need to do something creative. And then I hate being an employee. And I do mean hate. I don't even mean dislike. Hate being an employee.
I feel you on that.
100%. So I'm like, okay, I need to do my own thing. And then thirdly, like I need meaning. I need to create something. And then I was like, okay. And then the weirdest thing is that I sometimes think of how weird this is. But when I came into this world in 1995, there was no such thing as podcasting. There was no such thing as YouTube. There was no such thing as what I am doing today and how I visualize the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It was not until 3 years ago, getting into Joe Rogan, that I even knew that this path in life existed. And now in that 3 years, I've chosen to spend the rest of my life doing so. That blows me away, that my entire life is going to be in something that I didn't know existed 3 years ago.
Right.
And it's like, so after I realized the anxiety I have with money and how it compromises my morals, it compromises my integrity. Yeah. I said, I need to make enough money that I never think of money again.
Yes.
Because also, to be the person I want to be able to help out my friends in every way.
Every possible way.
Up until at this time, all I've been able to be is emotionally supportive and maybe technically supportive. I can help you emotionally. I can spend time, but I can't give you money because I don't have anything to give. Yes. And then if I ever do feel like I need to give you money, I have a serious anxiety. Like I feel like I'm falling apart and I'm crippling anxiety. So I'm like, okay, I need to be a multimillionaire so that, I can, and I want to be famous enough, successful enough on this platform that I can do things for you and your career. I can help build people because that's what people gave me. Like, people taught me how to invest. People taught me how to do this. Like, Joe Rogan is like a surrogate father to me. Without him, I can't do this. So I want to be able to pass this forward and get to build this up so that I have the financial freedom to help my friends and my family financially. Never worry about compromising my integrity ever again. That is important to me. And then building this up so I can support the people that need it. Because I don't want people that have to compromise their integrity to get where they want to be. I want to be able to be like, if you have a vision, come on my podcast. And
let me help you.
Exactly. Because it helps feed my soul. There's this frustration that I feel like we all have when we're not being of service, when we feel like we're consuming. There's an imbalance. We're consuming more than we're giving. And I've done that my entire life, and I've had enough. I want to get to the point where I can create an equilibrium of my spirit, of my soul, and be the person that I was meant to be and do the things I was meant to do, because there's certain things I require to do that. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. That's why I'm going to make this happen, because that's why I'm here. And it's a waste of my life if I don't go after these dreams.
Yes, absolutely, man. And holy, I could totally see this in you too, because you have that, you have that emotional intelligence if somebody who's broken comes to you and it's I'm stuck in this rut and I don't know what to do, and it's something you've been through before. It's I can help you. The technical sense of how do I get through this thing of give me advice on how to actually maybe it's not emotional, but it's somebody who's a very tangibility oriented person. It's how can I help you technically and physically, how would I have gone about this situation too? It's you can do those things, but they can only go so far, in the sense that the money, people like to say, money doesn't matter and stuff. And then you also hear people say money does matter, but you can't do whatever without money. Those are both true. It's they're both true in the sense that, yeah, money doesn't matter when it comes to emotions, but money also does very much matter when you're trying to make a difference. Money is power in the sense that the tangible, we live in tangible worlds. I have pillows, I have things here that I can touch, I sleep on, whatever I use. Even this laptop is tangible. And it's you cannot do these things without money. It takes money to have this laptop. It takes money to have the phone and the phone plan to call you. It takes money to have the car to come see you. It's all these things, the money really does matter. And to be able to already know that, seeing you, Anton, as a person that is not only can, but is willing to help people emotionally and technically in these ways. It's because you're willing to do that and you have this kind of desire and drive in you to do that. It's when you have the money, I really can see that you will use it in the way that the person who needs help, and you see that, oh, now I have the money, I have the foundation to be able to help you. You will use that more than a person who has only money but no emotional intelligence, no actual advice, help, or that type of thing. It's you just getting that third category off the bat is you can help them in a way that they never even knew their life could be helped. And it's like, I see that power in you. You definitely have that in you, that like, you know, especially when you hit that mark, when you reach your million, you know, before your first kid and all this, like whenever that comes, it's like, I know you'll do great things with it, because that was your base intention from the get-go. That was exactly what you want to do, and just it will come to you, because this is what you're calling for. This is what you're manifesting in the universe, because the entities and whoever is there, even though you didn't meet them, even though you've never met one and talked to one in your life, whatever, it's like they're still around you. You are one of them, and you are them because you can understand them. That makes them you. The same way that the world is beautiful when you see it's beautiful, it's you who is also beautiful. And so it will line up in the way that they see you are trying to create. You are a generator of love. You are actually this thing that will just radiate and just sprout love into everything you touch, like Midas, the goddamn man who touches anything and it turns to gold. It's like that, bro. It's like the way you go about it is like you already have it in you, and it will come to you. It will come to you that way, because that's already, you're calling for it, and it has to work that way.
Thank you.
It's got to go that way.
And I have a question for you, because when we're talking about this, like, I feel every so often I get a glimpse of who I really am. Like, there's just like, and it's in that glimpse I realize that I rarely live in accordance to who I really am. Because there'll be moments I'll be listening to the right song, I'll be talking to you. It actually happens with you quite a bit. You're someone that I find we connect on such a fundamental level that yes. Who I am really appears with you easily. It really comes out.
It's reciprocated, by the way. I feel the same damn way.
And I do find there's these moments in life where I catch a glimpse of who I am. And some people might be like, I catch a glimpse of who I could be. But really, again, I see it more as who I am. It's getting rid of all the stuff that I'm not, rather than building into who I am. And do you ever feel like that? Like, when it might happen once every couple months, maybe it's only happened once in your life, but there are these moments, and you can probably remember them, where like it was almost like you take a step back and you're like, whoa, like this is who I am. Like this is what I can be. And it's just, and then it just as quickly, usually you lose it in a negative emotion, you lose it in doing the dishes, you lose it in whatever you're doing. But for a second there's this like lightning strike, and you're just like, bang, this is who I am. Like, do you ever, like, have you ever been there?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, man. I'm so grateful for those times it has, because, you know, I can remember all those times I felt bad and negative about like the world and whatever, but it's like those times that even if it was a split of a second that it came to me, it's like, it was so intense, or just the vision was so like, oh, like, wait, that's a reminder of who I should be or who I want to be, whatever. It's like those things stick with you. And through those negative times that you go through, it's that challenge that you face of, no, I know I have it in me because I felt it before, and I know I can feel it again because I know how to get there, or I have an idea of where I want to get. It's like that will come, that can come back because it happened before. And like, that definitely does happen, and it happens for a reason. Those things are like, if you forgot about it, you know, that time it did happen to you, maybe this time, whatever, like you can't even recall it. It's like that came to you then, maybe not for you to remember it now, but maybe for the next time it happens to you, it trickles down and is amplified in the chain reaction of all the times it happened to you. It's like, eventually at one point it stacks, and it's like, that's when it will really click. And it will click a lot of times and about a lot of different things. And that is the process of it. You need to go through these bad things that happen to you and all this, like, you've lost touch with someone really important with you. There's somebody that like you really just needed that unconditional love from, and like you really need to connect with, and it didn't happen. It's like, maybe that didn't happen, but now you are that thing that you don't want to see. You are the thing in the world that you want to see, and you are becoming not what you don't want to see. Like, you are perfectly leading in the example of gaining knowledge of who you don't want to be. And I think that's hugely important. I think it's a lot easier question to answer for people than who do they want to be, you know?
Yeah.
I think in high school, they should be asking kids like, what profession don't you want to go in? Because then at least they have it's much more clear what your options are.
Yeah, it's almost like a compass. It's almost like, okay, like, you don't want to go south. Okay, so I know I don't want to go south. So I have these two quadrants. It's like, okay, I don't want to go southeast. Okay, and it's like, it's slowly like you calibrate. Okay, I don't want to be an employee. I don't want to have to be worried about money. I don't want to be a father. It's like whatever that is.
Closes.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then when you're in a certain radius, then you ask the question, what do I want to be? That's when to do it, is when you've closed that gap enough. And also, fuck the pressure, man. Like, let people fail. Let people not know. Like, it's okay. You don't have to know.
Yeah.
It's exactly. Like, it'll happen when it happens. Like, believe me, it'll happen to everybody. Just pay attention. Just pay attention. That's it. God. That's all you can do.
Do you know Horus, the Egyptian god? It's like this. I think it's Horus, and his symbol is the eye, and like it's the top of the pyramid, even Illuminati, whatever you want to see it as. It's like the eye is at the top, and it's like, what does that mean? It means pay attention.
One was crazy.
What's up?
That literally, Horus's eye in the Egyptian pyramid is my merchandise logo.
You're kidding me.
No, serious. Like legitimately, it's because the podcast is called Arc Vision, right?
Yes.
Arc Vision. So on one hand, my actual logo is very clean, modern. It kind of looks like the Avengers symbol, the A. Mm-hmm. It's like an A, and then around the A is a C for my last name, and then connected to the A is an R. So what I'm gonna do is, that's going to be clean, sleek, and modern. That's going to be my main logo. That's going to be the front of every T-shirt, every sweater, every pair of hat, hoodie, whatever, hat. And then for the more creative people, the musicians, the creative types, they want something a bit more interesting. They don't want to be like the corporate simple. They want something more meaningful, right? Yeah. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that core logo, and instead of the C, turn the C into an I. And within the I that used to be the C, instead of the A, have a pyramid. And then the R that wraps through the pyramid, have the Eye of Horus.
I love it.
Yeah.
I really love it.
So that's going to be at the back of the T-shirts and the different merch line. I'm going to have two merch lines. One going to be sleek, modern, and then creative.
Wow. I love that. Man, that's exactly like reflecting on the duality of things. It's like you have the simplicity to one side of it, because it's exactly, some people, really resonate with that, but the complexity to it and showing that it's both at once. They don't exist without the other. And like, that's, I think, the huge important, that is the message you put out with everything you say. It's always like everything you say does keep in mind, like, you could say one thing about some certain type of people, but you're also reflecting on it by the negative of like, what is the other type of person like, or, or even within the same person, what are the personalities they bring about? What are the perspectives they see? And like, it's like, yeah, it's, you do keep a huge, great concern of like, of these two sides to everything. And honestly, it's more than two, but each side of it is just as important as the last. And like, you have a very conscious mind, a very aware mind to see those things. And knowing that you're even incorporating Horus's eye into that with the pyramid and all that, is like, everything just lines up without even knowing it lined up. Like, it's absolutely insane, Anton.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this thing to become what it's meant to be.
Whatever that is.
Whatever the fuck it turns into. I have no clue, but it is going to be an exciting journey. It's going to be an exciting journey.
Man, the fact you're saying that already shows me, like, I have no doubts about it. Whatever it does end up being is like something that is just gonna rattle you to your core in the most positive way, like, of just like excitement, of energy, of just, just there's no words for it. It's just, that's real life, man. Like, Alan Watts has this talk, and he's talking about, like, he's like a philosopher and like all this, and
I love Alan Watts. I've heard so much Alan Watts.
Oh, Alan Watts is amazing. And for your viewers, who aren't too acquainted with him or whatever, it's like he talks a lot about life and philosophy of like why things are the way they are. And just like if you really look deep into it, he's just saying that, he's just reminding you of what it is. He's not saying anything new. He's saying things that have already been there. It's not some new information or whatever. It's just maybe a new perspective, but it's something that's already been there. And one of his talks that really, it's a segment of the talk that really speaks out to me. It's that he says, words are not labels. Words are labels. They're symbols of things that are in real life. But what real life really is, and he grabs a gong and he says, real life is bang, and it just rings out. And he lets it ring out for a good 15, 30 seconds. And that's it. It's the sound. It's like, there is no word for that. You cannot put what you see, trees and houses and like landscape, all that. Like, sure, I have words to describe you what I'm, seeing when I look out this window, but it's like, the life is when you see it. What do you feel when you see that? What exactly is that to you? The gong speaks for itself.
Yeah, words can't articulate the essence of anything.
Exactly. And reflecting back on DMT, it's like, hear a lot about, for people who do like have a full breakthrough and actually speak to these entities, it's like they all, like, it's so strange how it happens to everyone, but they do speak of, like, everyone who sees the entities, they say that the entities speak objects into existence through their words, but the words are telepathic. You don't hear them saying it, and they're not like actually sounds, but they create reality by almost talking about it.
The words are reflections of intentions. That's all they are. It's the intention that is summoning it, but sometimes you need a end point or a funnel to get the right intention, to sharpen your intention. You use words. And that's why when you're not specific in your vocabulary, your intention can be distributed oddly.
It can be left open to misinterpretation.
Yeah.
Because you might know what you're saying, but the person receiving, you cannot guarantee they know what you're putting out.
I feel like if you're not specific with your language, you're not specific with your intention. And people can feel that. You can feel when someone is not aligned with their values and their actions are not aligned. You can feel that. You can feel it in someone's voice. There's a caliber, there's a peaceful timbre people have in their voice when they're aligned that a lot of people don't have.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just immediate. You feel it. You're like, oh no, you're bullshit. You're lying.
Yeah.
You're not even lying to me. You're lying to yourself.
Exactly.
And by omission, you're lying to me.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is it's so much easier to lie about it than to be able to put the full truth out there. It's so much easier to say it wrong than to say it right. Having the ability to articulate those things correctly, like even Jordan Peterson, the way he is with his words is just insane.
He's that. I always tell people because, someone might give me a compliment, right? About like intelligence. And I'll be like, I'm not intelligent. You're mistaking articulation for intelligence. I don't think, I'm whatever I am. But in so much of our society, we're blown away by articulation, not intelligence. Because the smartest people in the world, like Stephen Hawking, can't speak. And he's just lucky he had these articulators around him. Like he had the ability, or you never know. And what about all the brilliant people that don't know how to capture the images in their mind? And we think they're dumb, or we think they're slow. It's like, no. They're probably smarter than me. It's just my gift in life is that I can articulate whatever's in my head.
Yeah.
Same with you. You have that beautiful gift too. You're very articulate. So it's like, luckily, figure out what your skills are. Okay, if you're articulate, get into something where you're projecting ideas because people eat it up. Like, that's so important. You have that skill set. Whatever else you have, do something that you are projecting that to people. Because it's a waste of you if you don't do that.
If you don't do that, exactly. And that's like the reason I do music. It's like, that is my way of like, I didn't have the words for even beginning to put what I felt, but like the music, that's like something I can do it through. And that's my articulation. Like, maybe music isn't like, it's not something that everybody can do. And it's something that takes practice and whatever. It's like, it has to be felt too. But just because you can outlet it through music doesn't mean you can't outlet what you feel and what you see inside your head through a medium. And so finding that medium, I think, is the biggest thing. It's like, how do you make the world understand you? Because by showing the world what you think also tells the world what it is. It's like, this is how I am appearing to a certain person, you know? And so it's like, especially with Elon Musk, like Neuralink, that's gonna come out in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
And it's the masses, 10 to 15. It's like, it's gonna be, we will be able to do that and really be able to develop the hive mind of like actual deep understanding of each other.
We will be able to actually convey the essence of things rather than just our interpretation of them.
The symbols of things.
Yeah. What if Neuralink goes one step further? What if it's the neurons themselves can link up to your neurons?
Wow.
Rather than have to go through a definition period of defining what you think you're saying or what you think you're thinking, because you don't even know what you think you're thinking. What if the actual neural impulse could go straight to your neural impulse, and the essence of what your intention is can actually be linked up directly?
Synchronized that way. That is.
I'm not saying that's good, because the idea of Neuralink actually kind of freaks me out.
Freaks the hell out of me.
Freaks the fuck out of me. I'm still in the middle. Part of me wants to believe Elon Musk is a good person. The other part of me is like, if there's a chance that he has ill intentions, Neuralink could be like the step. Because if someone is, like I always say, like, what happens if someone hacks the Neuralink? Then we get in these movies where like you could just hack each other. Like, yeah, sure, it sucks when someone hacks my phone. At least they're not hacking my fucking brain.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is already bad. I don't like when people hack my phone. Imagine someone could hack your brain. Like, no, thank you.
Jesus. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because the fact that Neuralink like has the ability, like with Parkinson's, that's why originally he did create it, is because it deals with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, any of like the neurodegenerative diseases. It's like, if it can have the ability to repair those things, then imagine Neuralink in a healthy brain where nothing needs reparation, but it can take advancements. It's like, if you can be hacked and have thoughts implanted into your brain where you can't even recognize that it's not your thought. Holy shit.
We already do that. Imagine if they could legitimately just prop them in. Like, you can already brainwash yourself into a false memory. We know that happens.
Oh yeah.
Like, imagine if they could just drop these things in. And then also, now think about this. What is Google and Twitter and Facebook doing right now as we speak? Censoring. They're not only confirming, they're not even confirming the truth. They're dictating the truth. Because as you and I know, there is no truth. Life itself is a series of duality. There is no truth. When you get down to the core of anything, when you get to the core essence of life itself, it all depends on what's your perspective on it.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your perspective?
So they're defining reality. Now, what if they have control of Neuralink and they can define your reality from external means directly, like directly control the meaning and your perspective of reality? That's fucked. Like, I do not want to go down that route.
It's pretty fucked. But at the same time, as much as we don't want to go down that, if it does happen, and everything in the world does happen for a reason, and duality is as true as it is, it's
what's the silver lining?
What's the silver lining? But at the same time, it's like these things will happen and it could be bad, but it's like it will happen for a reason. Those people who are in control will learn what they learn, and like that is kind of the sense of surrender you also must give to the world, because you don't have any other choice. Exactly. You can't, like what I said about controlling, it's like Alan Watts also said that too. He's like, you cannot hold on to control because you never had it in the first place. The more you hold on, the less you have of it. But the more you let go, the more in control of yourself you are.
It's wild. And I also love what he said about evil. He's like, evil was created just as much by God as good. So it's like, we're, Illuminati confirmed and reptilians and shit like that. It's like, let's say you believe that, and it's like, oh, we should defeat these entities. It's like, no. If they're true, they're baked into the fabric of reality.
There's no getting rid of that.
You can't escape that.
There is much part of it as much as we are. Like, if we are here to claim and put our foot down that we are valid, it's like, okay, well, that means they are too. They are too.
And that's when you get the deeper level of the game. As you're like, okay, so it's not good versus evil. It's complete surrender to everything.
Yes. It's us versus us.
And the universe will find a way to orchestrate things in whatever balance they need to be in. So in the way, there's going to be an eternal struggle in all things, because there can't not be. The moment, if we vanquish evil, life gets pretty boring. If there's no struggle, if there's no challenge, if there's no obstacle, if there's no friction, if there's no pressure, how can you create a diamond without pressure?
How can Perfect. Man, it really makes you think. It's like, there's this, I've actually never talked about this before, but there is this one YouTube channel, and this guy's, his channel is called 434. His name is Peter Hedron, and Peter Hedron, and he has very vivid, not only visions, but messages from entities when he does mushrooms. I'm not even sure if he does DMT that much with these messages, but he gets a lot of it from shrooms. And like, just something that I remind myself every day of was that, like, you were something before you were born, and you will be that same thing after you die. Like, you go back to that true self, your real, like, whatever word there is for it, because there is no word, but whatever it could be that it's at. It's like, he kind of gave the message that you're not here to save the world or for whatever you like think that maybe you should do or something. It's like, you're here on Earth, and you went into this almost simulation to learn the lessons of experiencing it. You cannot experience the past, the future, and the present at the same time, but you only experience the present because you agreed, your spiritual form agreed to be put here as a human to go through these lessons, to learn how to love, to learn how to show other people how to love. It's like, maybe Neuralink will be this horrible, like, it could possibly be this horrible evil menace.
It could go both ways.
It could be the thing that changed the world, but like, everything you learn in your journey up until reaching that point, or even after, it's like everything you learn is still teaching your spiritual, your true soul. It's still like, maybe the world blows up. It's like, was that your fault? No. Is it going to be a horrible experience? It could be, but you came to learn everything you did, and that's what you take with you.
Yeah, like from our perspective, in a sense, it's like, let's say like the world is blown up in a nuclear war. Well, if you believe in reincarnation, that opens up a lot more possibilities, because it's like, all right, cool, we reincarnate into another part of the galaxy, into another part of the solar system. Another, like we're so caught up in Earth, like Earth. We need to be on Earth.
Me.
It's like, really? Like, I don't know. Like,
sure?
I feel like this experiment could take place in a variety of places, in a variety of solar systems, galaxies,
universes. What if it's all at once? Like, these entities,
parallel dimensions.
Parallel dimensions. Like, when these entities are like spoken of, it's like they're not bound by time. That's why they're said to live in the fourth dimension, because we're bound by time, and we have like up, down, left, right, forward, back, or like in and out, right? But the fourth one is like, that's time. It's so we have this 3D object, right? If you take a cube, how does it change over time? Right. It changes over time. So they are not bound by that, and that's why these trips do feel timeless. When I don't know if you relate to this, but when you're like on DMT or in a shrooms trip, it feels like time just does not exist. Doesn't exist. And so maybe you were just placed into, here's the expansion of this version of the universe, and like you were inserted here just to experience this because you learned something from there. But like, this also exists at the same time as this part. Like, it all exists at once, and it's like, it's not to be taken so seriously. Yeah. It's like, you're just here to just feel what you feel, the emotion of life.
Our youthful, not yet done prefrontal cortex loves to make everything really, really like a big deal. Like,
huge deal.
Everything is a huge deal. It's like, I can't wait till like my brain just starts to slowly let go. Because like consciously, I'm learning how to let go. It'll be really cool as my brain helps me do that. That would be nice.
That'd be very nice.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is a great place to pivot I have 2 questions for you before we finish up the podcast.
Alrighty, let's hear them.
So
I'm excited for these too, man. It's crazy.
The first one is, what important message can people take away from this discussion? What do you think is the most important message, or what your takeaway? What's your takeaway from this discussion?
It's a very heavy question.
That's what
I like
here,
it,
man.
That's exactly why I'm happy to be on the show, man. I'm so happy to be here. If I was a viewer and I was listening to myself talk, what would I think the world needs the most to hear, or what would be the most important thing to take away? It's like, I think, well, what we were saying about who do you want to be can also be answered by who you don't want to be. It's like, what message do I not want to give out? What do I want people to not take away from this? And I think, so then that raises the question of, what does the world lack most? What do most people lack a lot of? And it does seem to be like love, care, attention, awareness these days, consciousness. It's like being any step closer to understanding yourself is that much closer to understanding the world. And if you're subject to living in the world, you might as well try to understand it. So I think if maybe this whole show, this whole episode was a bit more, if it confused things for people, at least if it sparks the question of, how can I understand the world more? Maybe this didn't help that happen, but maybe you can Google something and go like, okay, well, maybe I have a question in my head, like I'll actually go search. Like maybe if you normally would not do that, because you just would think about it while you're on the toilet and then that's it. Like go and take that action, convert it from a thought into an action, make something out of it, because you don't know what will come out of it. The same way with this, it's like, I could have chosen not to be on this. I could have chosen to, even like not even answer texts and calls from you and things like that. And like, for even longer, and like just chosen not to do that. But like, it's like, you don't know what will come out of doing that. And, if you think that you're probably not going to die from doing it, you should probably give it a shot. And that's a lot of things, like even, learning production, like music production is like, I went into it, like, I was like, holy shit, I listened to hip hop and like, just like songs and EDM, especially. I'm like, bro, like this stuff seems complex as shit. Like, I know I'll never have a clue how to do it. Then I started to do it. I started trying. I was like, I learned about myself that I'm capable of more than I thought. And that's a pretty cliche thing that like, oh, like, you're more capable of like what you already think about yourself. But it's so true. And I think having that reminder, whether it's a one-time reminder, whether it's monthly, whether it's daily, it's like that is still important. And because that's something that I like to remind myself of. It's like, I don't know what I'm capable of, but I do have goals and I do have visions, so I might as well try.
I love that. Cheesy. No, it's not cheesy. It's not. Like one thing that, in a similar way that I've kind of come to the realization of in the last couple of months, is that you don't know until you know. Like that's it. Like, there's been so many things where if you asked me a month ago, do you know how to edit videos? I'd be like, no, I've never edited a video. Now I edit videos every day. It's like, I don't know until I know. Like,
until you know.
That's it. It's like people have this weird idea that you're meant to do something if you already know how to do it. It's like, no. What you're meant to do is what you're curious about, and you're supposed to follow your curiosity and just take the steps. That's it. The meaning of life is follow your curiosity. I feel like legitimately, another word for intuition is curiosity. Follow your curiosity, and you'll know exactly where to go.
So happy to say that. You like put like the ideas that are in my head just perfectly articulated. I'm happy you asked me the question so that I could say what I said, so that you could say exactly that. And man, you answered it more better than I could.
We harmonized very well.
Yes.
You and I feel like we pick up where where each other leaves off.
Yeah, we see where we lack and we fill in where we can. Man, we should definitely link up sometime and do some music together too. I think
we will. Absolutely
we'll leak into there too.
I'd love to. And we could even do like a live stream.
I would love to. I was considering doing that. I was like, yo, I have a guitar here and I play it on my own time anyways. I might as well, like, if there's one person who wants to watch it, like, that'd be cool too. Like,
okay, so this is a takeaway that I think is one of the most important things. And this, if this resonates, great. If this doesn't resonate, great. But if I could tell anyone how to start their journey of, let's say, creating your own business, just start recording everything you do. If you play guitar 10 hours a day, record that guitar. If you like video games, start recording yourself playing video games. Oh. If you're like me and you like music, record yourself listening to music. Because first of all, you're getting used to being on camera. You're being used to being more concise with your thinking. And you're creating content that as you get better, you'll be able to one day, people will love you for that content. But the first thing you have to do is just start filming yourself doing whatever you love to do, period.
Start doing it. Man,
just film it.
It's so true. Even if you're shitty, I think it's actually so important that like you don't have to start doing it when you're good. Do it when you're shitty. Show people how shitty you are, and when you were good, and those viewers who find you then when you were good, they can go back and see, holy crap, this person started when they were even worse than me. It's like, what am I doing that I didn't start it? It's like that right there. That's like, damn.
Yeah, why do you think I'm leaving up every single one of my old videos? I'm always going to. I'm never going to take them down. Because I want people to be like, look at him now. And then, oh my God, I can't do that. I'm like, no, you can do this. Believe me, look at my old shit. Like,
look at my old shit, homie.
Like, I don't know how you could be worse than that. And if you're saying that you could never be where I am now, boom, you can do that, man. Like, I feel like we all should, have that timeline. Like, put up the terrible stuff you used to have, because, again, it will get you over your fear of being seen as an icon, your ego, because your ego is like, no, just keep up the good stuff. It's like, no, challenge your ego, because it's going to get you into trouble. Like, keep everything. It humanizes you, makes you more humble, and you don't take yourself so seriously. Because I can't, with a straight face, go, oh, dude, like, I'm the best at this. It's like, I can't say that if I have all my old content that sucks. So it's like, keep that up. It keeps you accountable.
Yeah, it keeps you accountable. Shows that you're both. Damn, really opens that up. Dude, that's crazy. Because you asked me what is my thing that I want people watching this to take away. But, like, I think that was, like, super important for even me to hear. And, like, wow, kind of took my words away.
Okay, and lastly, where can people find you? YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Where can people find you?
Oh my gosh. Yo, okay, this is the perfect time to say this. Okay. So I've been working with a few different people. Like, there's just some of my friends who like have these voices and ideas and things I want to put out. So I'm producing for them. And I have like music out on Spotify. It's under just my name. It's literally just Corey, which is impossible to find unless you search for my album name. But I am having so much trouble finding an artist, like an actual name that I want to go by, that I identify and resonate with. But like, I wanted to ask you because you actually seem to understand me in ways better than I understand myself. I will say that confidently. And so to answer your question, you can find me on Instagram at Corey Trochaniak, which is COREYTROCHANI.
It is shameless plug time. I let all my guests have shameless plug time.
Or Corey Auto. It's just spelled as it is, Corey Auto on Instagram. That's my car page. If you got a cool car, hit me up. That's cool. But Spotify, it's Corey. My album is called Give and Take. It's just 5 songs.
I love that.
But it's
great name.
Thank you. It's a cool album name, but I can't even come up with an artist name. Like, I've had some ideas here and there, but man, it's still in development. And honestly, find me there. That's the most reachable. My email is my first name at my last name.com. Like, it's like I'm trying to keep all in shape, which makes me think, should I go my artist name the same way too? But actually, should I?
One thing is to people listening, his email is Corey. Oh, actually, no, you're right. Sorry, it is Corey at Trochaniak.com.
Yes.
You know what? No one can answer that question for you. Only you can answer that question.
Only I can.
There are pros and cons by going by your name versus going by a title. There's pros and cons, and there is no right answer. If anyone says there's a right answer, bullshit. There's no right answer.
And honestly, the only way to find out what the right answer is just by doing it.
And back to curiosity. Go with words that you're curious with. Go with what kind of words, what kind of ideas do you just feel this unconscious draw to? Like one thing that I did, because I built another company with a friend, and I was just kind of looking at, like, I was just, words would just come in. And like my company, Arc Vision, that came from the company Real Vision. I always had Arc. It was originally, this entire thing was just going to be called Arc, A-R-C, Anton Richard Czachor. Cool. And then there's just this feeling of like, that's not it. And for the longest time I fought it. I was like, no, that's it. My conscious mind was like overplaying it. That's it. It's like, and then when I just surrendered to, just go with the curiosity. It's saying something else is afoot. And then I just started listening to podcasts, and then Real Vision came through, and immediately it was like, vision. There's something about that word. And then I was like, Arc Vision. And I was like, that's it. That's it. So just literally like, just be open to your own curiosity, and the words will come. If it is your name, it's your name. If it's something else, it's something else. But there is a name out there already created for you, and you're just trying to find it.
Yes. Wow. I like that. And like you're saying, like Arc Vision, like I was putting myself in your shoes, like, oh, like what if I came with Arc Vision and I was like unsure about it or whatever. But then I'm also this person on your podcast listening to you who represents Arc Vision, and I hear Arc Vision. I'm like, that is such a sweet name. It's like, you might not have thought that at first or anything like that. But like, to me, I don't know any of the other thoughts you had. That is all I got. That was what I was fed. And like, I freaking love it. So it's like, why should I even be that doubtful about like, oh, does this work? Does this not? Freaking do it. Just go do it.
Exactly. Please, anybody listening, do not overthink your fucking name, because I did it. I overthought it like mad. I went through 8 email addresses trying to like Arc Vism, Arc Perience. Like it literally, I went through 8 email. I fucked up all my chances of getting new email addresses because I kept trying to find the right one. So I was like, do not overthink it. Just keep it simple. And if you have any questions, just go with your name. Just go with your name.
Honestly.
Like Anton R. Czachor, that is essentially, because you can't go wrong with branding yourself. You just can't. Unless you die.
You want to be your own employee.
Exactly. The only thing is, the great thing about having a name, if this is something you're looking for, is do you want to pass this on to your kids when you die? Do you want to pass this on as a business later? Mm-hmm. Do you want to do something else? But if you have the vision of
hired,
if you want to be the focal point of this business, the easiest thing you can do is just use your name.
Use your name. Damn.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm taking all this to heart. I'm taking all this with me.
And just you will figure it out. Follow your curiosity. The name will come. It will come.
Thank you.
I firmly believe we do not think ideas. We download ideas. I feel like we're just an antenna, a receiver of downloads from the universe. And you get the right downloads when you're in a positive, peaceful state of mind. You get the worst downloads when you're stressed and anxious.
Yeah.
So meditate. Just get into a quiet place, Corey. Meditate every morning for 10 minutes. And before you have it, it'll just pop in your head. That's where Arc Vision came from. I was meditating, and then it just came in.
Do you know Bruce Lipton?
Yeah, I love Bruce Lipton.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah,
no further questions. He does say a lot about how DNA is like actually a transceiver.
A transceiver.
It not only receives information but sends out an electrochemical. Oh man, it's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff, man.
100%. So everybody,
talk to you again, man.
You will figure out a name. I believe in you. Just be calm. Calm down, man. Like everybody, calm the fuck down. And Corey, you'll figure it out.
Bro. The world needs to hear that.
Yeah, and like, okay, that's my message. If there's any message to take away, it's just calm down.
Calm down. Don't overthink.
Buddy, calm down.
Let it happen. Be curious. Be that child in you. Be that like curious thing that like, when you're looking at the patterns on the floor and they're freaking magic, like let that happen. There's something in there. Have it for a reason.
Retain that child and do not alienate yourself from what you love because you think it's not cool. God, I've done that and it sucks. I gave up video games for a long time because I'm like, a grown-up person doesn't play video games. It's like The Witcher 3 is like one of my favorite games ever. If I gave that game up forever, there'd be a part of the universe I'm not allowing myself to experience
Yeah.
that I clearly resonate with. So like, give yourself a pass.
Give yourself a pass. Be easy on yourself. You know, you already have enough people out there being hard on you, plus yourself.
Be the person that actually sticks up for you. Because no one else will. No one else has to.
No one else has to. Be your freaking best friend.
100%. Be Team You. Team You, bitch.
Team You, bitch. I like that. Team You. That's kind of cool.
100%, man. All right. So, Corey, thank you so much for taking the time today. This was a fucking blast. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Yes, Corey is the best. And I'll see you next time. I love you guys. Peace.